All right, hello everyone. Welcome to a discussion of One Piece, and we're going to be discussing anything and everything up to the Water 7 saga and including the Water 7 saga, which is where I have read. My very good friend, my buddy Alan, is joining me today. You're all caught up in the anime, right? You're an anime watcher.
I am an anime watcher. I have not I'm like, I don't know, 10 issues behind on the manga. Um
Okay.
but and the anime, when I caught up with the anime and then I started reading the manga, and I have not gone back and watched the anime to where it is now. So I'm
Okay.
like 60 episodes behind on the anime that I just need to
Okay.
go back and watch. But
You're
yes,
much closer to caught up than I am
I am
anyway.
I am I am basically caught up, correct.
Okay, but we are avoiding spoilers because I'm staying free of any spoilers of anything past Water 7. So please keep that in mind in the comments. But some of you may know Alan from discussions that we had earlier with Murphy and with Mike. He is a very dear friend of mine, and I am really excited to be talking to him about what it is he loves about One Piece. And I don't think that necessarily people who watch those early discussions got the full picture of your connection with One Piece. So that is something I want to talk about. What you've taken from this, what this means to you. Now, you have made a video, Alan, on this topic, which I'm going to put a link to in the description. But it's not something that you normally cover on your channel. You've made this one video about One Piece, but I know that you are a huge fan, that this is a very meaningful series for you. And I want to talk about that. And we're going to talk about probably the anime. You're going to sell me a little bit on the anime because I'm a manga reader, but not an anime watcher. Although, with a few exceptions, we're going to talk G8 arc, and you can tell me some moments I should watch from. I've gotten all kinds of suggestions, but I want to hear what you think. Moments, because I do want to watch a few moments from the anime. I do believe that the music does add a lot to the experience, to the voice acting, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to talk about all that stuff, but let's start with you, Alan, telling me about this series, what it means to you, your experience with it, et cetera, et cetera.
Um, well, thanks for having me, Philip. There are
Pleasure.
some people that saw me in the thumbnail and did not click on it because of the fact that I'm in the. So I've been watching One Piece for since 2001, maybe,
Okay.
2003. I don't know. I was in college. And I mean, I grew up with like anime that was on Sci-Fi Channel, like really like anime from the 80s, like Project Echo and Robot Carnival and Akira and crap. No one, I mean, other than Akira, no one knows what Project Echo is. If you do, please say in the comments how awesome Project Echo was.
Okay.
But and then Sailor Moon and DBZ, when it first came to the States, like you used to have to buy anime at like Suncoast Videos on like a VHS tape, and there was like 4 episodes per tape.
Okay.
And
Wow.
so, that's how I watched Fushigi Yugi, which is also a really good anime. Anyway, so in college, I came home and I was hanging out with some friends of mine, and they were watching One Piece that I just hadn't heard of. I just hadn't watched anime in a while. And they told me it's a pirate anime. And I'm like, I love pirates. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then they told me about devil fruits that gives them powers. And I love crap that gives things powers. Like I love, like people turning into smoke or
Right.
just, I don't know, cool stuff like that. And so I think the show was in Arabasta at the time, and I just started watching it and I caught up and I loved it. Like I loved it. And I've never been a manga reader, like ever. Like I've never really read manga. Um, so I just watched the show, and throughout the years I would go with periods where I would not watch it for a couple years and then, catch up and watch where it was. But the big thing is that it's always One Piece to me has always been something that I've done with other people.
Uh-huh.
This was before the internet exploded.
Yeah.
I true story out there somewhere. There is a fanfic. There's one chapter of a fan fiction of I wrote between Tashigi and Smoker. It's a Tashigi X Smoker romance fanfic.
No way.
In addition, I also recorded on a tape recorder the Smoker call-in radio show that I would
No way.
when I posted that video, the friend V who introduced me to the show had watched it and commented and reminded me about the Smoker Radio Show, which I had completely forgotten about. Um,
Wow.
but it's
Wow.
always been something I've watched with other people. And so as, you
You're
know,
Nakama, right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Back when I watched it, you had to torrent it because I've always watched with subtitles. Um,
Uh-huh.
because I've watched with subtitles ever since Sailor Moon when I realized that the dub cut a bunch of stuff. And I'm
Oh,
like, what? Why are you cutting material? So I watched subtitles and there was this really good sub company, fan subs. It's just a group of people who did it for free.
oh,
Uh,
wow.
Kaizoku fan subs, and Kaizoku is Japanese for pirates. And I love the way they did it. They're the ones they first started saying crew, and then around the Arlong arc, they had translation notes saying, hey, we're not going to use crew, we're going to use nakama. There's not really a direct translation, but
Right.
this is kind of what it is. And
It's a
all
beautiful word as far as I understand it.
for
I mean, you
sure.
you do know some Japanese yourself. You've actually studied Japanese. You've been to Japan.
Yeah,
So this is not something you're completely like
correct.
me. Like I'm a total noob when it comes to these things. But I
Yeah,
love that word because it does have so many rich connotations. It's not translatable with just one English word, is it?
yeah.
You
And
give
I mean,
me friend, crewmate,
exactly.
comrade,
Like
right?
like not like found family kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this is just something common because I grew up playing JRPGs, and so it's nothing but like localizations where
Ah,
when it's like, why is this translation so bad? It's because someone is translating and not like localizing, which is
it's tricky.
the
Yeah.
best, yeah, the best like uh comparable thing instead of just directly translating word for word.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it was awesome because Kaizoku fan subs, whenever Luffy would do an attack, each character had their own font when they did an attack. And when he would say it was this big yellow like Gomu Gomu no, and it would as it would go, it would expand like rubber
Ah.
as he was saying it, and then pistol and drew it out, pistol would get big and it would just like slowly expand. And
Ah.
I loved that. The current anime does not do that, but this was a labor
Yeah, I
of
didn't
love.
see that. Yeah, I
Oh
didn't.
no,
Yeah.
it's just words on a page, which is fun.
Right.
But because this was a labor of love, that kind of stuff took forever. But I really liked that. It sold me on it. And as I went through college, my friends and I had two friends who would come over to my house and we would watch. Sometimes we'd watch 2 episodes, sometimes we watch 20 episodes, and we would just sit
Wow.
there and we would
20
watch.
episodes in one sitting.
Oh yeah, and we would just,
Wow.
we would just like take it in together. And this started.
Oh,
Oh no, we started from the beginning because my other friend had never seen it, and we introduced.
oh.
And so we watched through the end of Dressrosa, which I think is like episode 860 something. We watched every single one of those episodes we watched together. So when something awesome happened, we're
Wow.
just like, oh, when something hilarious happened, we're laughing. We're being like, oh, dude, that guy sucks. He's on your team. Oh, look at that guy. Oh, freaking Helmeppo, all yours, Macon. Nobody likes um,
We don't like his haircut.
his haircut is what makes him terrible. Um, So, so it was just something like I remember there's part of Thriller Bark, which is the section I'm going to tell your next arc
I'm
that
gonna read next. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you have to watch it. There's like a couple 3 episodes that you have to watch because it revolves around music. And so like
Oh,
it is
Thriller
in
Bark does. Okay.
yes, it
Ah,
is in that section. It is impossible to. And if y'all are getting mad about me talking about Thriller Bark, I've already told Philip this, so calm
right.
down.
Yeah.
It just I don't know how something that revolves around music, you can't get the full effect on
I
the
don't
fan.
think that's a spoiler to recommend watching episodes of Thriller
Correct.
Bark. Yeah, that's
Um,
fine. And I
but
want your recommendation too, because I've had a lot of folks really wonderful. I've gotten a lot of help really along this journey from so many people who have been watching my videos on this, my reading experience of this incredible series. But I'll get recommendations. Oh, you should watch this scene. Like one of my favorite scenes of all time, really, in this series is definitely Robin's "I Want to Live" moment in the Water 7 saga. That's one I'm definitely going to watch.
yeah,
I have to watch that. And both actually, apparently, when I did watch some of the anime, I primarily watched the dubbed version, which I know you're not a fan of as much as you are of the sub, but But I will say the actor who did the voice for Robin, I liked that voice a lot. And I also think that I've heard from various people that both versions are something I should watch, the subbed version and the dubbed version of that particular scene, because of how well each actor did in
Yeah.
delivering that
And
moment.
that
So,
is what I mean. That is why I watch. That's what kept us with the anime. The Seiyu, the Japanese voice actors, are so good, and
huh,
and the most recent sub or dub is not bad. It's not bad. My issue is I don't like the actor or actress or whoever. I've never liked someone who plays Luffy, and it's
uh-huh,
because
yeah,
the old lady that does Luffy's voice in Japanese adds, and this is a problem with dub versus sub just in general. The
right.
Japanese people make noises that humans make when they're listening. They'll go, ah, oh. And it has none of those in the dub. Like
Uh-huh.
Luffy is a guy who just makes he makes
That's
noises like
part of his character.
yes, and she is so good at it. Is I can't it's not the complete picture of Luffy without that for me. Now, a lot
Okay.
of the other ones don't make as many noises, but Luffy makes noise all the time, like his grunts
Wow.
or squeaks or like just like the dub will have him just looking like or going, huh, oh, what do we do next? But like the sub will be, huh? Huh? Nani or whatever.
Right.
It just it, it just brings Luffy to life for me. And with Luffy as one of my favorite characters,
Yeah.
probably definitely my favorite character because
Sophie is. Uh-huh.
my entire life, like I have distorted senses of loyalty. Like I do not like di being disloyal to people. It tears me apart. This is why, like, there's so many betrayals in my life because everyone is betraying me. Because
No.
I just have like warped Sam. Like, I wouldn't do that to somebody. Wow, I guess everyone is a traitor, and I'm gonna just declare holy war on them.
Well,
Um,
I'm a loyal person too. It's very important. I'm a Leo. I think Leos are loyal, right? That's a thing, I think, right?
yeah,
I don't
but
know. Anyway,
I don't know anything about Zodiac, but I have stayed in unhealthy relationships long past their expiration date because of loyalty. Like I
yeah.
would have difficulty leaving my job because I feel loyal. I I did.
I know,
Nope.
especially to your students, though.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. And it was much harder when the people that hired me were there. Like people who hired me and gave me a chance to do that. Like I would have felt bad leaving and being like, just
Yeah.
let the opportunity by.
Yeah.
Everyone's not like that, and I understand that. But Luffy, like there is nothing that is going to make Luffy
Oh my
above
goodness.
his Nakama.
I
And that,
love that about him, and that's what motivates him. Even the fight scenes, which I'll be honest, the fight scenes are fun. They're not my favorite aspect of the series, but they're fun. But what really keeps me invested in those scenes is Luffy's, if it's a Luffy thing,
yeah,
it's his loyalty to his friends. That's what motivates him. That's what keeps him going. That's what gets him to the next level. It's not about proving himself. It's not about being macho or anything like that. It's about his friendships and his loyalty. I love that aspect of the series. That and pursuing one's dreams. The themes in here, it's not hard to identify them, but I love how Oda has dealt with them in the series. And I feel like this is at first when I read East Blue, I really enjoyed the humor, as you know. I had a good time with the humor and gradually began to see there's thematic depth to this series as well. And lots of literary allusions. There's just a wealth of things that Oda has read and alludes to in here. And I also love how emotionally invested I got in this series. Like the latest, I have to say, the Water 7 had me sprouting a lot of water myself. I mean, it was a very
the
emotional experience.
the emotional like same thing. Thriller Bark, there's an emotional section. This, where Robin, I want to live,
Yeah.
and then the agony that we were experiencing watching the Usopp Luffy conflict.
Oh my goodness.
I
Yeah.
don't like Usopp. Deal with it in the comments, guys. Who cares?
there's there's a sort of a little history here with Alan's lack of love for Usopp.
Like I
I
don't
will
like Usopp. None of my
I
friends
will
like
go
Usopp.
on the record
Just
as
like,
saying I do love Usopp, but we're not here to debate Usopp. But yeah, it's
but
fine.
regardless, Usopp is part of the crew, whether we
Yes.
like him or not.
Yeah.
Now, you know who Luffy needs to recruit? Freaking Soga King. He needs to recruit Soga King because, like, I don't understand why anybody would use Usopp and not Soga King. Like, kick Usopp out, get Soga King. That's what I say.
I,
But
that's
agony
interesting.
of watching them fight, it's just so much
It
better.
ripped my heart out. And the you know what the moment that really got me during all that was when there was the one panel that showed the Going Merry where the water had splashed on it, but it was the the figurehead,
Yeah.
and there was it looked like tears running down the Going Merry after this fight between
And
Luffy
I
and
admire Usopp's standing up. Like Usopp, like there's no way Usopp was not unaware that he was going to get the tar beat out of him. Like
of
Usopp,
course, yeah,
but he stood anyway. And I admire people sticking by their principles. But
yeah.
watching that in the anime with my friends, watching the another moment that had us in tears or like chills all over is when they're leaving Arabasta and they all hold up
Oh, the
for
Vivi, yeah,
and so good.
yeah,
So just
yeah,
sharing that experience is just great. And the humor is magnified in the anime because there are things you can do in animation that you can't do with
uh-huh,
single panels. Same thing with the fights. Philip, I since reading the manga, you know, because I just trying to stay caught up, I do not enjoy the manga fights. And this is someone who
uh-huh,
greatly enjoys the anime fights. For
uh-huh,
for me, it is very difficult for me to tell what is going on, especially in some of the more crowded fights.
uh-huh,
So it is not the same for me reading a fight as it is watching the fights. Like watching the fights, like Philip, there is a time Luffy hits someone so freaking hard. We are the original opening to the show starts playing, and I cannot, I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. That
wow,
cannot be recreated in the manga. Like
yeah,
it is just so the anime for me just adds so much. Now, for
uh-huh,
people's complaints, the anime also makes everything take forever. So,
yeah, I've
especially
heard that.
post Marine Ford, the anime drags
I've
in
heard that it was in the beginning of the Water 7 saga. What was the arc with the
long
Foxy?
lead.
The
Long.
parts with Foxy. Yeah.
First of
So
all, first of
people
all,
who watch the anime have said they tripled the length of that and it really
look,
wore.
Foxy has the most overpowered devil fruit with the most useless devil fruit user. Like the slow fruit is amazing, but freaking Foxy's useless. I really like the Foxy episodes. So that kind of filler and expanding was not actually bad. It becomes bad in post Marine
Okay.
Ford.
Okay.
It just drags and it doesn't need to, it drags and it feels like it's dragging. Like it is telegraphing like we need to make this take longer so we don't catch up with the manga. It didn't feel that way with Foxy's thing. I was invested in Foxy's stupid competition. And the roller skate scene where they're competing has one of my favorite Luffy clips in the animation that I
Okay. That's
still
not
say
in the manga. That's only in the anime, right? That
the
scene.
roller skating. I think so. I haven't
Yeah.
read the manga, but the
Oh,
roller
okay. Yeah, yeah. I think that that's one of the added parts. Because there's no roller skating in
it's
the in
funny
the
as heck.
manga.
It has Luffy popping up. I've used it in other videos. He pops up and he basically says, Sanji, Sanji, put me in. Yeah, yeah. And Sanji's like,
Oh,
shut up. I'll decide who goes in. And then his face just goes, and he just, and there's a noise as he laterally off the screen. And you couldn't do that in the manga.
no, you
But if
can't,
I
obviously. Yeah, the sound effects and
saved to my
everything.
computer.
Mm.
So
I'll tell you what moment I did love in that arc was when Sanji and Zoro actually worked together to defeat those three huge guys. Uh,
yes.
because you realize that they're like brothers. They're essentially like brothers who are fighting each other all the time, pretending they don't even like each other, but you really see what they can do when they work together in that moment. That was a really cool moment, I thought, from that particular arc. And I also thought there was some really brilliant, and I talked about this in my the video that I made on this on the first half of Water 7. I felt that Oda did some very clever foreshadowing in this particular arc, because if you look at it, it's essentially it's a goofy story about the threat of having one of your crewmates, one of your nakama, taken away from you. And what happens in the rest of Water 7? You
Yeah.
have the threat
Right.
of Robin being taken away, but also Usopp leaving the crew. I thought it was actually really clever tie-in there between those two. It's not just some, goofy thing that you can dismiss. It's just fun. No, I think there's some really interesting things that Oda does to connect all of this together. So I really like that.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
I'm trying to share. I'm trying to share something real quick. Can you see
okay.
this?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's that thing. See, I saved the clip. Look. Hold on.
Let's hope we can hear it.
Can you hear it?
It's very muffled.
See? And it's just that. And it's just that. Luffy's facial expressions and the voice actress just going, and he doesn't just frown, he goes,
Yeah.
that's not in the dialogue. So you just add so much. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I had it right there.
That's awesome. No, I intend to watch some more moments. So you tell me, you can make me a list later if you want, or you can just throw out some moments. I definitely want to watch the one I mentioned already with Robin. She's my favorite character, by the way. I love Robin.
Really?
Yeah. You know why? I absolutely loved her from the beginning, or not when she was supposedly a villain, not when she was among the, one of Crocodile's basically right
Not
hand.
Valentine. She's all Sunday, right?
Crocodile's right hand, right? And no pun intended because she has all those hands. But
Look,
anyway,
Crocodile's my favorite. Like Crocodile is in my top three. My top three are Luffy, Crocodile, and Smoker. Those are my top three.
okay, cool. Robin is my favorite, and this is something I think you would appreciate because of her devotion to her passion for the past. Because of she's got the whole archaeology thing going. She's somebody who deeply understands the importance of studying the past in order to learn from it, in order to make the present and the future better. And I love that about it. It's something I identify with very strongly, and I know you do too, because you like old stuff like me. It's just that you like the wrong old stuff. You like Romans, and I like Vikings. So there it is.
Establish an empire. What kind of central government? What lasting contributions have the Vikings made that isn't pop cultural?
So
fine. Okay. I've got roads, system of government,
okay,
medicine, science,
that's nice. Look, they stole it all from the Greeks anyway.
Yes, but the Roman way is steal and perfect. The Romans steal and then they improve upon it.
This is true.
With everything except literature. Like the creative arts, they just
yeah. I'm sorry, the Aeneid is not as good as the Iliad and the Odyssey.
The Aeneid is Homer fan fiction. Like that's all it is. It's not. It's not great. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not the Iliad and Odyssey for sure.
Homer fan fiction. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, speaking of the Odyssey, I mean, back to One Piece. Other moments. Now, I do want to talk G8. Let's talk G8 because this is one complete arc that I watched because I was told by many a fan that you should watch if you're going to be a manga reader, at least watch the G8 arc because you won't get it in the manga because it is quote unquote filler. And I feel like that filler has an almost derogatory tone to it.
It does. It 100% does.
Yeah, which is a shame because honestly, I feel that G8 fits really beautifully. And I have to assume that Oda must have at least approved of it. And I felt like G8 was really excellent in terms of conforming to the whole spirit of One Piece and giving us an arc that may not push the character arcs further, but reinforces a lot of what had already come in terms of the dynamics between the crew. The devotion to the Going Merry was something that really they did a beautiful job with in the G8 arc, which then, of course, in the Water 7 saga played a huge role. Of course, that's another moment, by the way, where I lost it, was the funeral of the Going Merry.
For the Merry, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, a lot of my viewers made some great comments about now I'm in the club because I cried over a cartoon ship.
I mean,
So,
we're three, Philip, we're three grown men, like two of us in our 30s, one in his mid 20s,
yeah,
weeping over a freaking ship.
you
And
too. You're in the club. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, but again, like I have a hard time crying over reading something, but like adding voice and then music,
Yeah.
I'm easily emotionally manipulated.
That's
So
another scene I have to watch, by the way, is that
sure.
scene, the funeral scene. But G8, you like the G8 arc, I think,
I
right?
do. I don't remember a ton of it, but I remember that I didn't one know it was filler. And when
Yeah.
I was
You know what had told me, I wouldn't have known. Commander Jonathan,
yeah,
and I thought he
does
was a great
does
character.
Fondo appear in this one? Or is that
Yes, yes, yes. This is
okay?
where
Fondo.
the covert member of the crew appears, Condoriano, which is so funny, because that was Usopp, by the way, who thought of making him part of the crew, right, in order to basically undermine him, which was a brilliant little stroke by Usopp. He has his brilliant moments.
Oh, so again, when people hear me say I don't like Usopp relative to the other crew members. I
Uh-huh,
like Usopp. He is just not my favorite of the crew members because
right.
Usopp isn't cool. And
But Sniper King or Soga King, he would
that's
be.
what I'm saying. Soga King is so much cooler. Why don't they take like a cooler version that does the same thing Usopp does? So I just don't understand it. Take Soga King. Just take Soga King. Um,
Yeah.
but Usopp is not my least favorite. That goes to Tony Chopper. So come
Oh
at
no, don't say it. Don't say it.
Christina, will you bring me Chopper from my library? I have a Chopper. I like Chopper.
Oh, you do
Chopper's
like Chopper. Okay,
he's
fair
I mean,
enough.
he's just
I
useless.
love Chopper. I
He doesn't
mean, look,
fill up. He doesn't do anything. He's not
he's
good.
a
Like,
doctor.
oh, I mean,
When he
okay.
remembers that he's a doctor, he's like, call a doctor. Oh, wait, that's me.
Yes, that's fine. And I love the fact that he, insults people when they're nice to him. And I like that
Right.
he hides wrong, where
I
he's
love
like,
it when he calls someone stupid face. Yes.
yes. But I mean, as far as like being like when there's a fight, it's like Chopper.
Although look in Water 7, he turns into super huge Chopper and it's
I mean,
freaking scary.
yeah, it's good that one time, and it's never good again.
You don't want it to happen too often. It's like the nuclear option. Aw, you do love Chopper.
I love Chopper merchandise.
Just admit it, you love Chopper.
I do, but not relative to the other crew members. Um,
Okay, okay, okay.
so here's the calculus. I have to like what they stand for, which so it's part of that. Like their character model,
Okay.
like there's a coolness factor based on abilities and then there's competence, meaning when you're in a fight, like are you
Okay.
useful in a fight?
Fair
And
enough.
fortunately, both Usopp and
They're
uh,
not the most,
Chopper,
they don't have the most prowess among the crew.
they're
That's
not. Yeah, they don't. So that lowers their overall super score. So
okay. All right, I'll take that. I'll tell
now,
you I bet you do like then, with all
who?
those criteria in mind. Franky.
I love Franky. Like
All right.
I've loved Franky since Water 7. I
All
love
right. I just got to know him because of Water 7.
oh,
I mean, first thing I thought was, who is this character in the Speedo?
yeah, love
Who
Franky.
is this weirdo? And I just, you get to, this is something that Oda does really well, is helping you to, even if at first Frankie was a villain at first, right? I mean, I wasn't prepared to like him or love him as much as I do. But by the time I got done with the Water 7 Saga, I was like, yes, Frankie, I just think he was just such a brilliant addition. And I actually called it pretty early on because I knew they were looking for a shipwright. I was like, I think Frankie's going to be the shipwright.
Very cool.
So I did call that.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I knew. Like I had already because that was one of the times where there'd been a while since we'd watched it and other stuff had come out. So I had seen pictures of Frankie in the crew. So I knew he
Okay.
was going to be a crew member.
You knew it.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't ruin my enjoyment at all. I like Frankie. His voice actor is so good. Like I love Frankie's voice actor. Again, so that makes it Yeah, that also endears people to me. Um, Chopper has a wonderful voice. Usopp's voice actor is so good at exactly how I think Usopp should sound, which is annoying to me. Uh, uh,
I think you're allowed to be a fan of the series and not love every single character as much as you love the others. That's
Look,
fine.
Usopp, there's a moment in Arabasta where Usopp and Chopper are fighting the mole guy or whatever.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
a bunch of his abilities back and forth in the anime, and he's going, this, Tinton, whatever. And then he gets his little rubber band, and the text gets really small, and his voice, he goes, go move, and just like that. And it's just that, it's just so good. Like I just love
Wait,
the
isn't
anime.
there a mole lady? Isn't there a lady who's the
I,
mole?
yeah,
Yeah.
sure, sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's the and is it the bat guy, the baseball bat guy? Uh,
Yes, the big
okay,
guy with the bat. Yeah,
yeah.
which he had the wiener dog guy. Yeah, he has a
Let me
wiener.
tell you how much I care about any of Baroque works that isn't Crocodile.
Yeah.
Zero.
Well, and Robin started out being introduced at least as Baroque works because that was just how she was surviving at that time. But yeah, that's brilliant. So yeah, I mean, this is one of the things I love about this series, and it does this in a way that maybe is unique. But one of the things that you always want to do as a storyteller is get your readers or viewers to love the characters. Why do you think Oda is so good at getting us to love the characters the way we do, the way that so many people identify with? I feel like that a lot of people love this series so much because they identify with, they feel like part of the crew. What do you think Oda's secret is? Why is he so good at this? What does he do?
I mean, first of all, Luffy is the linchpin.
Uh-huh.
Luffy is not complicated. He is not complex.
Right.
His motivations are the most obvious. He wears it on his sleeve, and that is the bedrock of the rest of the crew because they know they can always count on Luffy. Like it is easier to go through life having some form of constant, something on which you can base
Yeah.
you can like you know that no matter what, like there is not anything that is going to make it to where Luffy, if you are in trouble, is going to help you do it. Now he's annoying and spends all their money on food, and but
And
but
says
like
whatever he's thinking.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so that allows them to feel some kind of safety and therefore be vulnerable with each other. And it's those moments. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not fighting. The fighting is just like is the natural extension of where it went before.
Hmm.
What it's those moments between where they're just in town and hanging out, and we see like the kind of people they are. Like Nami really wants to be seen as someone who only cares about money.
But that's
But
not her, really. Yeah.
no, it's not. And you see that in that how she's trying to parent these children. Uh,
Yes.
Zoro is like there is no shortage. You are not spoiled for choice if you want to watch an anime that has a really BA samurai character.
Yeah.
Um, like that's fine. However, Zoro loves to sleep. Zoro cannot find his way out of a paper bag.
I love that he can't follow directions.
Like you could it could be a straight line. Say Zoro, go from here to the driveway, and Zoro's in the next neighborhood. That, like
Yeah.
that, and we've we and the way Oda shows their backstories, like where they've
Oh, the
come from,
backstories are just genius. They're
they're
just
tremendous. So that's another way how he solidifies it. But then we see them come to each other's rescue, and despite the odds, no one ever abandons anybody, even the weakest. Like even Usopp, who is an absolute coward, like
yeah,
tries to run away because that's just his default response.
right.
But he always eventually turns back and is like, I can't really abandon everybody.
That's
And even
right. He
knows that,
finds courage somewhere. I love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And Chopper, who knows he's small, is doing his best to not be small. And so that's why he
Yeah.
developed the Rumble Ball, and he wants to be part of this team. And so you have this group that are constantly building each other up. And it is especially in today's modern society, we
Yeah.
are inundated with cynicism. even down in the comments, people
Yep.
coming after me for whatever they need to come after me for. Um, there's nothing cynical about One Piece. It is not cynical at
Yeah.
all.
It's
It
so
is,
genuine.
yes,
It's
and
just so wonderful and
yes, and that
weird.
genuineness is something that we lack a lot. And I
Yeah.
think it is just like bathing in an oasis amidst a flood of cynicism. And I
I
think
call it my happy place, even
there
though
we
there
go.
are sad, tragic things that happen. When I'm reading One Piece, I'm smiling with a dumb grin on my face the
For
whole
sure.
time, you know?
For sure. And it's just like, and it's not like it is, there is nothing wrong with it being like, hey, these guys are the bad guys. They suck. Our guys, we're the good guys. Like,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
we're gonna root and we're gonna take them down because like some of these bad guys, they ain't great.
Right.
So I I just think it's a combination of all of that. Those quieter moments is how he attaches the crew, and that's part of my. I think there are less of those as the series goes on,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
which and there are people out there who agree with me, believe it or not, that think that the relationship with the crew is better prior to Marine Ford than it is after Marine Ford.
That's the
Now, I mean,
focus though, isn't it? In the first third of it so
you
far,
froze.
the focus has been on
Philip, no one can hear you. Your mic doesn't work.
the bonds forming between the crew,
Yeah.
right? I mean, can you hear me now?
I can. You froze and then you were talking. We couldn't hear you. So go again.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, that's the focus though in the first third or so where I am is really we just got Franky. I mean, the crew is still forming here. I don't actually know how many more crew members are going to be. I don't expect too many, but this is what it's been about primarily, and that can only go on so long,
Mhm.
and after that point it has to be about something else, about
Yeah.
them developing or whatever it
And
might
there are good moments. There are good moments. I just think, I
be.
mean, there just aren't as many.
Yeah.
So
I love what you said. You said a whole bunch of brilliant things there. One being the backstories. Sanji's backstory, particularly, I found very moving. The idea that Zeph would have made that sacrifice, and that it was such an interesting parallel with how Shanks gave a limb for Luffy, and you had Zeph giving a different limb, but a limb for Sanji, and that relationship. And I love how he calls him crap geezer, and they pretend to hate each other when there's this, and you see it when Sanji leaves the Baratier and joins the Straw Hats. There's that really that's another tear-inducing moment.
there's also this underlying thing, and it happens. And don't worry, if it hasn't happened for someone yet, it will. These people are constantly telling Luffy to back off, let me handle this thing myself, don't put
Yes,
yourself in danger. And
yeah.
everyone does it at some point. And it doesn't matter. Like Luffy is never going to listen to you. Like, sorry.
No,
Like
no.
it doesn't matter how in danger it's going to put him in. He's going to go after you. And I think we all wish we had people like that in our life, that you
Sure.
can count on.
Nami's help me Luffy moment was the first time I got
Yeah.
tears in reading the
That
series.
is the first moment. That is the first moment that brought me to chills and teary-eyed in the anime. Because at that
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
there's some good stuff, but it's still kind of lighthearted. And that is where the meaning of the word nakama really comes
Yeah.
into play for the first time.
Yeah. I want to talk a little more about Luffy because I think you said it beautifully that he's the linchpin, and I think that's a really important insight. In terms of his character, I love how he seems so completely idiotic, but he's actually in some moments extremely perceptive. Like, and it seems so obvious. He just states it like it's an obvious truth when no one else sees it. Like early on in Water 7, he says, "Yeah, it's not like Robin actually wants to die, right?" Which leads later on to that moment of
Yeah.
"I want to live."
Yeah.
He just has these insights and these perceptions, and yet at the same time, he seems so funny in how, like at the funeral of the Going Merry. I want your opinion on this. So when I read it as Luffy was saying, "Boy, it's a good thing Usopp isn't here, because he'd take this really hard." And standing right next to him is Soga
So
King.
yes.
So, so does Luffy genuinely, he and Chopper are the two who seem to not understand that they're and I know this is controversial for me to say this,
Leg-
but
Yeah, legitimately, Luffy and yeah, there are some people who
He legitimately doesn't realize that they might be the same person,
I mean,
or is he doing it like a chess move here and
let,
pretending he doesn't
let me
realize?
say first that Soga King and Usopp are not the same person. But I
Okay,
know there are some people who erroneously believe that.
right.
But
Okay, fair enough.
if we take it as fact that they are the same person,
Okay,
uh, Luffy, I don't think that Luffy genuinely knows him, and that's just there. I mean, there are
that's how
probably
I read it too.
yeah.
That's how I read it
I
too.
think him. I think Luffy is able to make these astute observations because his thoughts are not clouded by all these other complex things that everyone else is thinking about. So
Huh,
he can just be like, oh, yeah, that. And he can just like cut through the bull crap because he's thinking about where's he going to get the next meal?
right?
What do we need to find that we can move on to the next island so he can get the One Piece?
Yeah.
Who's he got to fight that, he like it would be better for him. We see it time and again when he's meeting people and they're like, dude, just don't tell them you're going to be the Pirate King because they're going to attack you. Like, just don't. He's like,
That's
yeah,
he's the first thing he says to
it's like,
everybody.
I'm gonna be king. I'm gonna be king of the pirates. And they're like, okay, no, you're not. So let's fight. And it's just like Luffy, like have just he possesses no guile, like none,
No,
no,
yeah,
no guile at all.
no
So,
cunning of any
so
sort.
I really
Yeah.
think that him and Chopper don't know that it's Usopp. Um, I
Erroneously.
I mean erroneous. If you believe that they are the same
If
person,
you believe that that wacky theory that Usopp and Soga
look,
King are the same person.
conspiracy theories abound in today's society, and this is
True.
one of the more pernicious ones.
I'm afraid I might have done a little bit to spread that theory, but oh well, you know.
Philip,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Philip, do a closer reading. You'll see there that they are completely different.
Yes.
All right.
I tried. I
Okay.
did listen to the Soga King theme song.
Yes.
That's, that is just sheer brilliance. Absolute brilliance. I had to watch that.
Right.
So, this is fun. So I don't know. What else do you want to talk about? What are the One Piece things we should talk about while I have you here? I mean, there's a ton going on. With I had somebody I wanted to talk about. It's left my brain. But was there anything that you wanted to mention or bring up while we're on this topic of One Piece together?
Um, I'll think of something in a minute.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh,
I
I
don't.
actually do have something. You keep thinking, but I know you have different parts of your brain that can do this simultaneously. So, I actually have started to watch. I'm almost finished with the first season of the live action. Have you watched the live action?
I haven't yet. I need to.
Okay.
I
All right.
haven't yet. At the end of August or August, maybe middle of August, they're revealing a teaser for the new anime that they're coming. I think they're
Yeah. Are you intrigued by that?
I mean, I am. I'll watch it. I mean, I will watch it because
Okay.
I mean, I enjoy One Piece and I'll watch it from the beginning. I think they're gonna try to like cut out some of the filler. I think they're just gonna try to clean up some of those earlier.
Okay.
I don't love and this may be controversial. I don't love the art style in the current arc of the anime. It's
Okay.
looks
I have no idea. Yeah.
yeah, people who are watching will know. I mean, it's a stylistic choice that, and there's nothing wrong with liking it. It's just
Okay.
not a stylistic choice that I like. It looks sloppy to me.
Okay.
As
Interesting.
opposed to now, one of the coolest things that's ever happened in the entire anime just aired recently. But that's
Wow.
irrelevant to
Okay.
you. I just all of the stuff that you like about it is just about to get magnified, and I think it just culminates in such a great way.
You mean where I am now in the series?
Correct.
Uh-huh.
From so you get past Thriller Bark, and
Okay.
the next
I
the next three arcs are just one of my favorite like
know Marine Ford is one of your
character
favorites, right?
journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it starts with Sabaody and then Impel Down and then Marine Ford. And
Okay.
it's just it's just good. Like
Cool.
I've not felt about, a saga like this since, Summit War was the last time I felt like this. Now there's some really, really good moments going forward. One of my favorite villains is later. Um
Okay. Cool.
uh but you just got a lot of good stuff to look forward to.
Yeah.
And all the themes you talk about continue to be hammered home. Um,
Yeah.
who's your so Robin's your favorite? Who's
Robin
your
is my
favorite
favorite.
who's your favorite non-Straw Hat?
Oh gosh. Huh. I enjoyed now keep in mind I'm reading the Viz translation in the manga, and I keep finding out that the names they're giving people are kind of off.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Like I hate to even say it, but I have to read it with him being called Zolo all
I
the
hate it.
time.
I hate it. I hate
It's
it.
Zoro. I know. I will only say Zoro. It's Ganfor is what he's called in the translation I'm reading. He's from Skypiea. He's the knight. Uh, what is he called for the rest of the world who's not reading the Viz translation?
What's
I
his
can't remember.
name?
Ganfor is
I,
what he's called.
you
He's
okay? So
the
says something.
former head of the
Oh,
or
Danfall.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know why Viz keeps giving people weird names and stuff,
It's
but
just because of the way it would have been said. If there's an L or an R in it, it tends
okay.
to
It's
get.
like, so you said Arabasta, and a lot of people were telling me, no, it's Alabasta, and some were saying, yes, it is, and some were like, it's okay. I feel like it's okay either way, honestly.
It is. Nobody cares. Like there's no one who is
Except for
mistaken.
Zoro. Zoro is Zoro, not Zolo.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
But like Arabasta or Alabasta, no one's confused on which arc you're talking about. Like no one's
right,
like,
right.
which arc is Arabasta? Like, come on, like you know which arc it is. I
I did
hate
like Ganfor.
I
Or
hate that
whatever.
you said someone from Skypiea. Why? I forgot you like Skypiea. That's what we should talk
I
about.
got this from a lot of people. I love Skypiea.
So
I
not why do you like Skypiea?
watch my video on Skypiea, then you'll love it too.
I don't want to hear anything about Skypiea.
Yes,
It's
you do. Watch my video. You'll love it.
Inner is so lame. So
Well,
lame.
okay, he's the antagonist, and he's actually, in my opinion, the most superpowered antagonist that the Straw Hats have met thus far.
Sure, if Luffy wasn't rubber,
If
like if
Luffy hadn't been rubber, right?
oh, it'd
So
been great.
that's a nice touch. You have to admit that. That's a nice touch that Luffy
And
was made of
people are
rubber.
going to talk about
He was Eneru's kryptonite. By the way, Enel, and
I say Enter. A lot of people say Enel. A lot of people say Eneru. I say Enter. And that's just what I'm gonna say.
okay,
Um,
that works for me. But yeah, no, I love Ganfor. Maybe because of the beard, and he's like chivalric and old and wears armor. You know me, so
yeah, I mean that's true.
that makes
I just
sense, right?
Skype is so
Who's
it's
your favorite non-straw hat? Oh, you already said
probably
Crocodile.
Smoker or
Oh,
Crocodile.
Smoker. Okay.
I love Smoker. Like I love Smoker. I
So
need the
I haven't seen a ton of him yet. I'm imagining there's certain characters that I definitely want to see more of, like Shanks, for example. And I get the impression that I'm not going to get a ton of Shanks just yet. But
thanks to the background character.
I do feel like Shanks is going to be, and this is me just making a prediction here. I actually have no idea, but and maybe nobody knows except for Oda. I do feel like he's going to be a full circle character. That we have to come back to him. There's got to be a Luffy meeting Shanks moment because he's got to give his hat back, right? When he becomes this king of the pirates, right? Um, but I do love the symbolism and the early lessons that Shanks gave to Luffy, and the symbolism of the straw hat. I mean, it's just so beautiful,
Yeah.
and how important that hat is to Luffy and what it means to him. And the Shanks, the lesson that Luffy takes to heart, the idea that, hey, sometimes violence is not the way to handle a situation. And you see Luffy, I think, a direct mirror of that, where Shanks doesn't initially fight the bandit guy
Mhm.
way back in East Blue.
Yeah.
You see that mirrored later on when Luffy meets, who's the villain that he meets? The guy who bounces around.
Frickin' Bellamy.
Bellamy, yes, Bellamy. So initially, Luffy, like Shanks, is like, I don't need to fight you, right? And that's when I met Blackbeard the first time. And Blackbeard, in a way, I understand that he's a villain and that he's kind of an anti-Luffy, but he's also, it's like a coin, I think. They both have the same understanding of the importance of pursuing one's dreams, right?
Sure.
but
but
Luffy's on one side of this coin and Blackbeard is apparently on the other. I don't know a ton about Blackbeard yet
I'm going
because
to give you a truth that is constant in this world. Blackbeard sucks.
okay, okay, but he understands that dreams are important at least.
I mean, sure, but he needs to have the dream of not sucking because he sucks. He needs to pursue the not sucking dream. Philip, I hate Blackbeard more than you can hate. I'd rather freaking look at Helmeppo than freaking have
Really,
Blackbeard.
would you rather have Helmeppo's haircut though?
I would rather have Helmeppo's haircut than ever have to see Blackbeard again. I hate Blackbeard.
Wait, I want to see you with Helmeppo's haircut.
Use your Photoshop powers.
Oh,
Place
well,
my
I
hat.
did have to figure out who I was going to make you in the thumbnail.
You make me Helmeppo. I hate
I
Blackbeard,
know who
Philip.
you'd rather be because there's that wonderful picture of you when you were cosplaying
Oh,
Zorro.
as Zorro, yeah.
Yeah.
I do not like Blackbeard at all. And that may be popular. Some people, I don't know. Maybe other people hate Blackbeard too, because I don't like him at all. None of my friends like Blackbeard. He's
I
just
don't know him that well yet because
doesn't matter.
I've just seen him in, and now I know what his devil fruit power is because at the end of Water 7, he and Ace kind of go at it, and that's where it stops,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah. Him and his stupid, so dumb. I hate Blackbeard. I
okay.
hate Blackbeard. So stupid. So stupid.
Yeah. Well, maybe because he's doing his job well. I don't know. I mean,
No, it's because he sucks.
his
Every
job
time.
is not to be likable, is it?
I
So
mean, I don't know what his job is. His job is, I don't know. I don't know. I freaking hate him. Hate him. Um,
so anyway, well, this has been a ton of fun. I know you have places to go and things to do, but I really appreciate you taking this time with me, and I had a blast talking
yeah,
about
me
this
too.
with you.
Hopefully, I did not say anything that like caused a riot among the community.
I
Um,
doubt it. I think you're safe, and hopefully anyone who watches this will understand that you are a real true fan of the series. I definitely feel that myself. I feel like you are a true nakama, and I'm very proud to call you that, and very glad that I know you because this is a series that I want to talk to you again with you about in the future.
if Philip, if you have someone on that is not me to talk about the Summit War, I will unfriend you.
Okay. All right, cool. I don't know what Summit War is yet, but you're on.
It's after Thriller Bark through Marineford.
Okay.
It
Okay.
is there is no bigger fan of Marineford than me. And if
Okay.
you talk to anybody else about it,
Hey, you just talked yourself into another discussion.
okay,
So
good.
good.
It is my favorite thing One Piece has done to this point. So
Okay. All right. Well, then there it is, folks. You can expect that video in the future.
so good, Philip. It's so good.
Nice.
Oh,
We might have to have several discussions on it then.
let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. All right.
I'm interested to see how it reads, how you read it in the manga, because I watched the whole thing in anime and there is a lot of combat. So I'm eager to see how you like it. That'll be an interesting discussion for sure.
Yeah, I don't mind the combat. I will say that it's not my favorite thing. It's not why I'm invested in this series the way I am. But and it does serve purposes. I mean, Oda is such a good storyteller. He's not going to just have combat for the sake of combat.
Yeah.
What happens during those combat things is you get some really important bonding between the
Mhm.
characters.
Yeah.
And it's about that really for me. That's where
Mhm.
I get invested in that part. But
For
yeah.
sure.
But cool. Well, thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you,
I will
Philip.
have a link to your channel in the description, as well as that video that you made earlier about why One Piece is important to you. And folks can go and check that out. But thank you so much, Alan. This has been such a pleasure for me. I always enjoy talking with you. But this series is very special, so I'm glad it's given us a chance to have a chat. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks
Yeah.
so much.
Ah, huge pleasure. And thank you everybody for watching. And we'll have some more of these discussions. I actually have one scheduled with Murphy as well. I'm going to be talking with Mike once he catches up as when he finishes Water 7. We're going to have a chat. And I'm reaching out to some more people as well because it's just, you can't have enough One Piece discussions, right? So, all right, everybody, till next time.